I'll give you this key.
Yo, 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 guys. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Awesome, awesome.
I can hear you.
Welcome to the Syntemic. We have
Are you?
such amazing speakers today. Just again, 1212. We have Fallen Network from. We have Dylan Kovalik from Fallen Network, and then we have Zeta Chain, Matthew Karsten. Guys, please say a word if you can, if you hear, and just want to be sure that.
GM, everybody.
I can hear you. I don't know, on my screen I can't see that you're speakers for some reason, but that's just probably my end.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's all good. That's all good. Yeah, we can hear you.
This is
Uh,
we're on Twitter, Dylan. That's why.
yeah, yeah. It's a new platform.
Also, throw up your green hearts. What are we doing with these red hearts here? You gotta
Yeah,
you gotta get the
do
green.
purple. I'm gonna do purple. You guys do green,
That makes sense.
and you do acid green. But I'm gonna do the green one as well. I actually don't have the green one for some reason in my. How to get the green heart? I have only purple. I guess
You don't
because
have
So
green? What?
I
press
don't
and
have.
hold, and more colors will pop up.
Okay, okay, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna send you some green hearts, guys, for sure. Just all the best love and best green hearts to
Dylan's
Chain
always teaching me new things. I don't know.
and Fallen Network. Awesome, guys. Yeah, so I'm gonna start really quick. A couple of minutes we took to warm up. I invited Zeta Chain to speak. I'm also gonna invite Fallen Network to speak just in case if you guys would like to speak from official accounts. You're welcome. Just again, my name is Ilya Pashkov. I'm founder of Synth. Super happy to be at this AMA with such a cool guest, Matthew Dillon, Matthew from Zeta Chain and Dylan from Fallen Network. We, we just it took us a little bit, guys, when we've seen each other last time. I think it was just a few weeks. It feels like tomorrow. We just met in SF. We did this amazing event in Temple SF. During Berkeley blockchain conference, and we kind of like started this topic, about TEs and privacy and confidentiality in AI, and then cross-chain universal. I'm gonna mention because Matthew always correct me. There is no cross-chain. There is only universal, universal possibilities for the agents, and we just started this topic. So pleasure to continue, and pleasure to discuss to next steps because I think it was very successful. We had amazing stream. We touched super important topic in crypto and Web 2 and Web 3 in both of them, and then specifically in AI. I really like that direction because I think that's the next step of evolution pretty much for the AI and Web 3. We're currently in New York, in Melin, Soho. I just came from Alliance DAO Accelerator. I've been there. We did pretty cool hackathon on this weekend, and currently in Soho, New York, doing meetings. We met with Zeta Chain and Matthew here at Melin, and looks like we got approved by Zeta Chain Hackathon with Synth, the Zeta Chain Hackathon and Google that happening right now. So we have kind of like good
Woohoo!
updates. I think it was pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. But guys, how you doing? Like, what's new? What's happening on your side? Just a quick. Let's start with quick intro, quick thoughts. Where you at? What you doing? Quick introduction for people who don't know who we are. And yeah, we're gonna start our deep
I'll go.
dive.
Fir- I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Karsten. I am the developer relations engineer at Zeta Chain. I am also here in Soho, New York City, working out of our main office, and have been participating heavily in developer activations, events, and hackathons since ETH Global. And that's included touching Solana HQ and Station 3 and Brookland, and all of these developer hubs in New York City to really find what people are cooking up in the trenches and bringing that over to Zeta Chain to build universal applications. We have a super large grant program. We have a robust bounty program. Zeta Chain is fairly new, fairly recently funded with a Series A. And so it was a really good time to be building on Zeta Chain. I'm really happy to be here with Ilya Pashkov. He's such a talented developer. We've worked on several initiatives in the past. And so I've had my eye on Synth for a while, and I know they're doing incredible things, especially in the trenches and hackathons, and really finding what is next and what's new and what people care about and how to make those things as accessible as possible. So I think that's really neat. And I'm happy to be here with one of my dearest colleagues in Web3, Dylan Kowalik. Dylan, I'm gonna pass the mic over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself to the crowd and tell them what you're all about and where you are?
Cool, guys. Thanks, Matthew. And yeah, thank you, Ilya. The grant program, I'm really excited for that. That's really cool. And something new that's happening in the whole Phala scene is that we've recently released a an audit for DStack, which is the I would say it's the best TEE framework in the market right now. And as it stands, it's 100% zero trust. We've decentralized the key management system, which is phenomenal, meaning that all of your
Woohoo!
deployments are now 100% yours. They're confidential. No pseudo administrator can peer view on your data. Dun dun dun. And that's been a thing. And so, anyway, we just released that audit. That was super cool. And yeah, so Phala's churning and burning with confidential AI. And so we support all developers with both CPU support, GPU support with NVIDIA, and it all runs on Intel TDX and beyond. So I'm leading developer relations at Phala Network, and we're happy to basically start onboarding the next let's say like million users for TEE. There's a huge underground wave happening right now for TEE. It's been happening actually quite slowly for like the last year. Just no one really knows what is a TEE. I feel like we did this thing a few years ago with zero knowledge proofs, and we called it the ZK scene, and everyone was all about privacy. But now when it comes to confidentiality, we have to push this new thing now that it's available to developers, and it's so much easier now to onboard in TEE. It's insane. So everyone can basically make a private app, and so private AI or confidential AI is on the rise. So if you don't like your AI knowing everything about you, if you had a digital twin and you didn't necessarily believe that your digital twin was your best friend, it's because it's not confidential. So I'm happy to talk about that, the ins and the outs of all of the inner workings of that. And yeah, so with Synth, it's really cool because if you have a digital twin that's like a virtual reality, like, meta like experience of an AI, but then it exposes all of your secrets, it kind of sucks. So I think this is a perfect case example of how, any AI, when it comes to relating with you, that if it knows about you, your data, the messages that you send, the privacy that you're requiring for your AI, we're entering this sort of different era of AI when it comes to AGI or artificial general intelligence. But it's not so general and it's not so artificially intelligent if it's exposing all of your data. So I really want to talk about this, the stats, the statistics, and so much more. So I'm happy to answer any questions. And thanks everyone for joining in and being here. It's super early. It's a early morning, so I know all of you are waking up early for this. So thank you so much. I'm so excited for this.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Matthew. I'm so excited. I'm so happy, to be honest. I'm so happy to have, friends and colleagues like you guys with which we can build cool stuff. And collaboration with Zeta Chain and Follow Network was nothing but insightful, brilliant, and pleasant for me because like that's pretty much through the tech that we're building together, I'm executing my goal and my ideas that I was thinking many years already. And right now we're going into the direction of cross-chain confidential AI agents. So thank you guys again. I'm just gonna go straight into the our AMA. So the whole topic today, as Dylan already mentioned, agents are getting personal. They have memory, and now they can send transactions. They can spend crypto. They can spend funds, and today they run on, you know, infrastructure data that can be logged, leaked, or even used against the user, and that's kind of like the whole biggest problem what we can see on the market. Omni-chain, cross-chain, universal UX, it's also still it's a big solution right now that solve all these problems, because right now the experience mostly pretty fragmented. So if you want to execute some simple cross-chain swap, you have to use multiple dApps, you have to connect multiple wallets, you need to wait for a long time, and yeah, just try it and you will see it. So what Omnichain and Universal Swap from Zeta solve, that immediate swap that we can do with the agent that has his own memory and that runs on private secure environment. And as Dylan mentioned, like having the your personal assistant or your hologram of yourself, your avatar, that store your private data. So what unique component that will be differentiating different agents between each other? It's that unique component that your knowledge base, your skill set, and probably you don't want to leak that information to others, because this is your identity. So identity storing is the key component, and it should be private, it should be secure, it should be unhackable, and ability to go into multiple chains just with a voice command or a click. That's where we're going with the tech that we put it together, and that's why I'm more than excited about it. So let's go to the questions, guys. I mean, I'm kind of like excited about everything, and I want to start with the topic. Who want to go first, Matthew or Dylan?
I'll go first. Um, I think something that Dylan said has got me over here searching ChatGPT 5 for the answer. And it's the difference between confidentiality and privacy. They are not the same thing. So confidentiality is a duty. So like it's like a business wide, organization wide duty to perform, from vendors and people who have access to this data. They have a duty to keep the secrets a secret. Privacy is the difference. It's like an individual's right. So if you have, privacy or privacy features, you have the right to control your data and to manage what it does. That doesn't necessarily mean you make great choices and that you are keeping your information confidential, even though you have the right to privacy, right? So one is a right, you have the right to privacy, which is just an option. And then confidentiality is a duty. The other thing that I kind of picked up here is Dylan is really at the intersection of what comes next, because not only does he have this like robust history with ZK proofs and zero knowledge, but now moving on to like hardware vendors and confidentiality and TE. Those things kind of cover one another's weaknesses. Like, a TE, the vulnerability would be that you trust the hardware vendor, it's like Intel or AMD or whoever is providing the hardware service, right? And using a TE and then kind of using maybe ZK inside of a TE in the future would be a way to like cover each other one of their vulnerabilities, right? And so I really think with a combination of like Sint and Zeta Chain, Fala, that's confidentiality, security, uh, you know, potentially ZK in the future, I'm thinking. But also, these things are the next layer of what comes with Web3 and with modern blockchain technology and a stack. And I think that these kind of AMAs are really what allows us to showcase like to the community what we're really working on. What we're coming up with and the types of applications we're trying to develop, and they really are based on forward thinking applications that we would want to use, knowing the current vulnerabilities of the systems that we're building. um, what do you think, Dylan? I'm going to pass it over to you because I know you have way more information about ZK and TEE, but I know I'm usually onto something, and you help me fill in a lot of those gaps. Are you out there? Can you hear me? Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
Dylan, you here? Can you hear us? Yeah,
He
I think
must
maybe can.
he must be in motion at the time. Well, that's
Yeah,
that's my thought, and my other thought on synth is that basically being a voice AI, I think is really super interesting in the sense that like it covers accessibility. So I think that the major topics that we're addressing by putting these things together is accessibility, interoperability, confidentiality. Three big
yeah,
words that just means you can use
yep,
it, it's yours, and
100%.
Hey, I'm
I
so sorry. I don't know what the hell just happened. I just had to like my internet just dropped. I was just speaking. Could you guys hear me now?
we
Now
can
we
hear you
can hear
now.
you, and now we can hear you. Yeah, it's happened. It's MA. It's always like that. Twitter not usually as perfect. So sometimes connection or something breaks. No worries. You rejoin. I added you, so
Okay,
everything's great.
good.
I'm gonna answer your question and then coming back to Dylan then. So I think I'm on many MAs, on many speakings, I'm always mentioning an example of Jarvis, and that's what Synth for me is. So like Jarvis experience, that's where you can communicate to AI with your voice, and then you have dynamic context based elements that you can see on a screen. No matter what device you can use projection mapping, you can use hologram, you can use virtual reality screen. You can actually see that interface, and then you can see that agent as a character. And sometimes you don't need a character at all, but most of the time you can hear the voice, and you can communicate with your voice to complete task. And that's the whole direction where all the industry moves. Currently we actually building and jamming with that voice possibilities for the past 8 months, utilizing all the latest APIs from WAPI, 11 Labs, DeepGram, and there's a huge ton of them, and we mixing them together, trying to define which one will be used better. We build in our solution as well that can solve many issues, and there is actually a huge ton of issues. It's not fully done yet. If you guys understand, if anybody tried it, yeah, you can make voice to text and text to voice, but actually, if you're talking about real nice conversation where you want to talk to AI like a real human being with pauses, and then maybe few people talking in the same time when in one room, right? Or some different use cases like that. There is still a big gap with voice that should be solved, and
You're
a
you're
lot of
totally right, and some systems, integrate better with their API, like for the MCP, like the ones that we use. But then other tools that often, run in the background and are more resource intensive and require, multiple models to be running at the same time to give you sentiment analysis and, emotion detection and all of those, deep grand type features to where you're getting more data from the voice, right? More context. Those things have a lot of room for improvement, but it's also going to come with having more resources available, or these things becoming some way that they develop a way to make these things less resource intensive, which
yeah,
will
exactly.
happen
So
over time. Yeah.
it's all the cool integrations that we just completed this Zeta cross chain things. You've seen it, maybe I just demoed it to you. So right now with voice and synth, you just say, hey, can you swap 0.01 ETH to BNB, and it's happened immediately. Transaction is done. Just because you have delegated wallet, you already delegated all the rights. You just need to confirm it on the wallet for now. But
the
most
the
of the
impl-
time,
the implications of that are so serious. You know what I mean? It's touching on a lot of different advanced technologies and combining them into a very simple user experience, which I think is powerful. And it makes you, beg the question. It's like, okay, we spent months and months and months becoming prompt engineers and learning what questions best to ask to get the information that we want to receive. But now, like, translate that into natural language, like how it's going to be a matter of like directness. Now you've been able to imagine, but now kind of refine that into what do you really need, and because that's what you're going to get. Specifically with you, when you ask your AI, it will interpret what you say. So that's what I think.
100%. Yes,
Will
and
be the blocker in the industry. There'll be a lot of garbage, just like there is now, that's generated until the language that we use becomes more direct to elicit the response we desire.
yes, yes. Also, another cool thing, like we just minted an NFT with voice. That was another cool component. We actually
No
completed
way, you
We
minted
we
one?
can. Yeah, we completed the hackathon. What hackathon was that? I think it was ETH Global, and it was
Oh,
OpenSea, OpenSea
OpenSea, and
hackathon.
that's right,
OpenSea hackathon.
OpenSea.
Yeah, right now, like Synth Avatar, just literally with voice, can get fetching information from OpenSea, mint an NFT with voice, and then give you all the information about it.
I didn't
So, like,
realize you could mint. I thought it was really just you could view. I
you can
didn't
fetch the
realize.
information. Yeah. Um, I have to double check with the meeting part. I know that we fetch the data, but I think we minted it already. So just don't want to create like extra confusion, but it should
NFTs are
work.
making a comeback, and I say that every summer. People are sleeping on NFTs. They're like, "Oh, NFTs are dead." It's like you guys have been saying that since 2018. NFTs are not dead.
Yeah, actually, and actually NFTs are coming back, but not coming. They coming back from like utility perspective because right now we integrating this dynamic NFT and Synth, where all the stats from your profile, from your agent, actually scoring in your card, in your dynamic NFT card, and then you can share this card with the community to showcase, hey, this is the amount of funds my agents are generated for me. That's ROI they made. That amount of agent I launch, and this is my wallet score. This is my score of social media, and this is all the stats for the dynamic card that you're gonna have as an NFT. It's just not as hyped anymore, but it's very cool. I want to
what
come back to deal
what you do so well, Ilya, is really it is the design of the thing. The models will change, they'll update, they'll get better, but the quick integration of new features like MCP Hackathon, Google, all these different models, and the voice, those two simple interactions that rapidly, increase your speed to a prototype to a demo is something to be, not only witnessed but replicated. And I think
yeah.
there's really something to that, and I think there's a lot to be learned from the way that you build, and refining that into a process, because I mean, literally you flew from from San Francisco to New York and did two hackathons in a weekend. Like, that's
Yeah, yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, it's not just me; it's also my team. So, like, big kudos to my team because I'm leading that development, but they all also put in hard work, and I'm pretty open to bringing new devs to my team who actually share the passion for innovation. So, anyone who's looking to collaborate on new edge stuff, especially on XR, AI, NPCs, where you can educate those 3D characters and NFTs slash NPCs make things for you. That's kind of like where I'm going to. I want to make those minions that also link to the hardware. Like, and this is like the humanoids that have the digital representation. I need a software to educate them with, right? I'm gonna get back to Fala because I think we took longer and Dylan kind of been quiet. Dylan, explain in simple words to non-devs who's on this MA what is TEs and CVMs. So just like as you will explain to your grandma, and what's the difference again, and why people need it.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, not to like take away from what you guys are talking about. It's actually quite, it's really cool because like Sint, like in my understanding, what Sint is that you have a ton of attachments that are inside of the dashboard. So you get to do things like call on to your wallet, like through Zeta Chain, and then make the command through your voice, and then you actually initiate the actual workflow, which is built inside of the actual AI itself. And so this is known as AI inference. And so if you have a model that is Sint, for example, and then you're trying to, agentically workflow with like your, I don't know, your Quen or your DeepSeek or your GPT, Gemini, whatever the attachment is, you're going to have a workflow, but then the programmability behind that workflow is going to then not have end-to-end security. And what we mean by end-to-end security is that the actual like operating system, which is effectively the minimal hardened operating system that's actually running on the TDX itself. And so when we say TDX, you have to imagine that it's like a secure virtual machine. So we all know about Ethereum virtual machines. We know that it's actually exposed. It's not necessarily private or confidential. However, you can run virtual machines inside of what you can imagine is like a black box, but we're also trying to get away from this idea that it's a black box because usually a lot of different cloud providers make their security solutions or their cybersecurity solutions in a black box where it's proprietary workflows and you cannot necessarily verify end to end like what exactly is going on within that sort of confidential virtual machine. And so this is known as zero trust, which is we have end-to-end security but also the analytics that provide you the verifiability of what's actually occurring on the operating system. And so when we say what a TEE is, it's actually broken down into a modular sort of architecture where there's an operating system, which is effectively the way that we reduce the attack surface. And then, we break that into a distributed key management service, which is known as the KMS. Okay, so the key management system is very popular. Like every single cloud provider, you got GCP, Cloudflare, Amazon, you name it, right? And so basically, these central vaults, they act always as your sort of root of trust for any program. But on Fala, we've decentralized the key root of trust or that vault specifically so that we can issue cryptographic keys to the virtual machine after you verify that the virtual machine is actually inside of a trusted state, which is the confidential virtual machine. And what's nice is that the we can actually, in fact, the hardware and this KMS together combined are the actual root of trust of the entire system. And what they do is that they provide what's known as an attestation. And so with zero knowledge proofs or with any kind of cryptographic proof, even on transactions for Zeta Chain and Ethereum and so on, you always get transaction hashes that prove, hey, like you signed this with your public and private key, right? Like you go to a block explorer, you get to actually see all the public transactions. But then what if you can't actually see a transaction that's happening inside of a TEE? What do you get back? Well, what you get back is something known as a remote attestation. Okay, so the cool thing about Fala, but also what we offer, which is DStack, is that we open up a very specific channel called a gateway, which is the HTTPS connection. This is the secure network gateway, so that it allows users to really run their application not only through the CVM, but what it is really cool for is that it's effectively it's a verifiable domain that's managed and it uses the remote attestations through what's known as TLS. And so TLS is like the basis of a protocol, like for the internet, for example. You can think of HTTPS, right? Anytime you go on the internet, you see the HTTP link, you add the S, that means that it's been secured, guarded by actual certificate authority like Certbot. And this gives you the actual proof that you're working and talking and knowledgeably working with a workflow that is attesting to the secure virtual machine itself, which is built with a zero trust networking model, which is what we're using, which is usually like WireGuard, right? It's a VPN like service under the hood for connectivity. And this is actually how we are able to achieve what's known as RATLS or remote attested TLS for that actual handshake between you and then the systems that you're working with. And lastly, I'm breaking this down in terms of what is the architecture, because if you want to understand what a TEE is, it's important to know what it does, right? And so the most important thing is sort of the orchestrator, right? The octopus, right? It's the one that's got all of its hands in all the cookie jars. It's making sure that everything moves across all these modular systems.
This is
And
us.
so
This
this
is
is
Sint.
yeah, so like this is like you can imagine Sint is working as an orchestrator for all the different MCP sort of servers, and it's working with all the different workflows and it's able to give you all these different attachments. But then under the hood, each of those attachments are working inside of a TEE, and then they're working through a virtual machine manager as well. So the service is actually on the host side. So this is an orchestrator that manages the entire life cycle of the confidential virtual machine. So it creates your virtual machines, it loads in all of the measurements of the operating system, and then it's basically responsible for all of your encrypted inputs. So it's a lot of minor operations, but the most important thing is that it's the big picture is that it's don't trust but verify, because you want to have end-to-end verifiability from the hardware up down to the application level, where then you basically can verify, hey, like I want to make sure I verify every operation. So when I send you a message to my MCP server to tell SYN to send a transaction on Zeta chain, I want to make sure that no one in the world heard that, and no one but like Google. I don't want Google to peer view on my data, and I don't want to give this to an MCP agent that's running on like GPT. I want to make sure that when I send the data, A, that it's encrypted, B, when it processes the message on the MCP server through a private inference model, I want to make sure that it can verify that, hey, this was actually encrypted and that the text that you actually sent was also not exposed. But we're going to give you a remote attestation that proves, hey, you can trust this. Well, not necessarily trust, you can verify. You never want to trust, because that's sort of the back days with GCP, which is basically trust me, bro security. Like, if we're going to go into that, it's basically every layer of the stack that Google has on you. They cannot confirm or deny whether or not they're actually peer viewing on the data, so that they have their own assurances for their insurance policies in terms of conditions, because there's a lot of things that they can't actually host on GCP and Cloudflare and so on, like AI inference models that might be disruptive. And so a lot of people are scared of AI. So they're like, oh, well, it all has to be public. We have to see exactly what's going on with the AI. Well, bro, now we know exactly what's going on with the AI if it's a workflow. If it's just sending a freaking transaction on Zeta chain, sorry for my language, but if it's like,
Exactly.
if it's like, if you know what it does, then why do I need to trust it? Just verify it. I don't need to trust it. I just need to know that it works and that it's not going to expose me for what I'm actually doing. So I hopefully that gives you a better picture of the difference between what a public versus a private AI will do. And the difference is that you don't have to trust, you verify, you get to be more compliant. Potentially, if you're going to be working with your own medical data or GDPR or HIPAA compliant data, like that's important for compliance reasons. And if you're going to be issuing bonds, then you're going to want to make sure that you're issuing bonds where then it can have a private transfer between one remittancy to another. But then if you're going to be issuing the transaction, then how do you do this where you're actually no longer doing it with a co-processing unit that is actually making the data confidential? You have to be doing this with a TE. That's the only way that these major large scale systems for finances, for like true DeFi, like RWAs, these sorts of activities that are actually new and groundbreaking beyond NFTs, right? There's NFTs, and then there's like RWAs, and then there's like identity protocols that require like, ERC 3643 and these new types of primitives on Ethereum. Like, these are the big new topics now, but they all require co-processing if they want to be like actually competitive with the real world market of today. So AI, if it's going to be like agentic on Web3, then how is it going to do the big fancy financial transactions if it can't do like literally anything that's actually useful work? Okay. So that's I'm bullish, right? I think like if you integrated a workflow that was doing a private transfer, I would never trust your model, right, Ilya? If it was never doing it where I got a remote attestation. And that's the nice thing about DStack with Fala, is that you can host the workflow and then it can literally send you in the UI UX the actual remote attestation that proves, hey, like this is the code that's running your, like workflow on Zeta. Hey, this is also verifiably not sending data to any other provider. Hey, the actual message was encrypted, so you have a private chat with this thing. And the DStack image is also verified by the TEE because we have this git commit hash because you've open sourced it, or maybe you have the code posted somewhere on Docker, right? Like, you provide the actual proof that says, hey, like this might not be a smart contract on the blockchain, but this is a program that you can literally go and read. When it hashes itself, it comes to this git commit hash, and you can verify it with the SIG store that's inside of the TLS message in this application right now running. And so it goes beyond HTTPS. Now, the $1 billion question for AI and just really most applications in general is, what is the UX UI of confidentiality? This is actually a huge question that no one really can answer right now. We've been asking Microsoft, Google, like Anthropic. I've been asking all of them. They don't know. Why? Because they're not actually prioritizing privacy. And they're also not prioritizing confidentiality. If anything, 81% of confidential, like, what are their names? Chief information security officers, 81% of them don't actually even think that AI data pipelines today are secure at all. And that's true. Like, yet 55% of all Americans, I think the statistic is higher now, are actually using AI on a daily basis. Yet little do they know how bad it is. I mean, it's just as bad as when we were using Facebook back in the day, and everyone finally realized that Zuckerberg was taking their data and looking at their kids and their Facebook photos and like figuring out what their like favorite ice cream was, which is
Now it's
basically
gonna
the issue.
worse. Now it's gonna
Yeah,
now
now it's
now it's
actually even worse. Now you're
even
literally
worse.
talking to an AI and it learns everything about you in a breakneck speed, and then it infers things about you, and then it tells your sister, your brother, and then your mortal enemy all this information.
You just
So yeah, yeah.
you just pretty
So
much pay your own funding.
it's the same concept as why your own AI is important and why it's important to learn how to train a model is because eventually you want to be the trainer and the owner, the sole owner of your own knowledge base that you're keeping and that you're using on a daily basis so that your truths remain your truths as opposed by Google or Facebook or whomever. Um,
Losing you, Matthew. I think your connection is breaking, but yeah, pretty much. If you guys can hear me, so everything is good. Can you hear me, Dylan? Yeah,
Yeah, I can
all
hear.
good. Yeah, I think we lost Matthew because his. But I mean, that's why I like our conversation and like our amazing events that we put in together because we like I think we're going into really really cool direction, solving real use cases. Because I want to talk to my AI privately, but I want still have this experience. I want to have full Web3 integration, and I want to pull any data sets I want. I don't want to worry about what chain it is or what all the additional details. I just want to execute the command. I want to get all the benefits from chain from the user perspective. And I would say like when I'm looking on our AMA is like SZP is like Sin Zeta Paula. I think it's such a good combination where now agents can actually run super private AI and then execute all this cross chain universal uh, agents because like I like dynamic context based interfaces. I want to execute AI with the voice command and put it in the best user friendly UI possible. I want to be sure that it's secure, private, and working around my company, my business, or around me like as a user privately. But then I want to give it a bridge, to execute any command on chain. Just with one command, with one voice command, or just a text or one button, and that's how that bridge, how the next steps. I don't wanna share all the private information we have in our group chats, but I think that the partnership itself, what we put in together between these three amazing companies and projects, and you guys can hear the level of expertise and the deep thoughts that we put in together into building these things. I'm gonna reach out to the audience, and if you guys have any questions, please ask them in the chat. Send a comment in Twitter. I know we have many smart people here who actually listening us from around the world. We got this timeline, so I think we hit even Asia a little bit. So I know Asia is probably the latest one, but Europe is not too late still. I'm on East Coast, Dylan on West Coast. So ask your questions, guys. We'll be happy to answer. You can ask anyone or three of us together. Like, what's the use case? I would like to come back to utility that could be done with AI agent and why actually it's needed. So many people still don't understand agents. They still don't understand um, blockchain maybe, and they still don't understand the privacy component, right? From this perspective. But I want to kind of like combine together all these three components and try to model the best use case. So it's going to be clear for non very tech savvy users what actually could be done with the tech that we are putting together. Um, I mean, from my example, And I already mentioned that, like, that's the demo that we actually just executed with Zeta. You literally just say a voice command. Use with voice, you can say send 25 USDC to my L2 wallet and tag as August expenses and email me the receipt. That could be a command that you can say just with voice. So on the synth side, you will see the uh, dynamic context based UI UX, where you're just gonna prompt that model that scopes you and show you that transaction is complete. We want to get a verifier from Fala, like attestation is verified that whatever you say and whatever you send is actually
Well, not
being.
even that. Not even that though, but also Ilya is did the model that you choose, was it the model that ran? Not just, oh, was the message verified, but we can actually verify the exact model that you're trying to
Yeah.
infer.
So if
That
you
level of detail.
So yeah, exactly that level of detail that the information wasn't sent to OpenAI LLM directly, and you didn't feed that information. No, but like so, pretty much you keep it privately, right? And then from blockchain perspective, we're gonna get the message that transaction is complete. And for example, if I send 25 ETH or I swap the 25 ETH, to stablecoin, that could be easy done on the Zeta cross-chain possibilities, and then we get in the proof receipt that automatically will be sending to user, to the email, to the log that's going to be generated. um I have a few questions. Like, I mean, I've been asked it a million times, and I like that was the whole idea. I just want to explain to the listeners, why we're doing and what, and maybe you guys can share, Dylan and Matthew, like any agentic ideas you think, what the use cases we actually bring into to the communities, and what they can do with our tech when we're gonna launch Synth Zeta Fala agent.
Well, I'll go because I don't know if he's here right now, but there is I think there's a lot of different use cases like higher level precisely. I think in general now that TEEs have been lowered, the barrier to entry has actually been lowered by quite a lot. It's the utilization of attestations now. So that's I think that is the true use case, and this is actually kind of a new field a lot of people are trying to basically figure out right now. It's pretty seamless. Like as so long as you're a developer who knows how to Dockerize like containers, like using Docker, and you can compose it into a YAML file, which is actually quite easy. And if you don't know how to do it, just vibe code it. Like just take a Docker image, figure out like, hey, I have this Python program or whatever it is that you're trying to run as a workflow for the agent. And then you can Dockerize it, you can launch it to Fala, and then, basically you get all the attestations out of the box. But like what attestations do you use and what's the use case, right? I think that's the kind of the key question is um so so for example you have RARPC, so like you have the remote attestation of the RPC, which is I think it's super interesting for use cases because it, internally it's the same thing as a gRPC based API. So this is actually provided out of the box by the DStack guest agent, which is the end-to-end HTTPS connection between your agent and the actual interweb. So you're able to prove that the agent is running inside of the secure virtual machine, yada yada. But then the actual application or the container itself asks the TEE to perform an attestation related to the actual program. So, for example, you have an app, and you want to call the RARPC to get like a fresh quote, at that very moment. And then you want to derive a cryptographic key that's tied to the TEE's identity. So you want to prove that the connection that you have with the agent is also tied to the TEE itself. And so this is how you can then you can emit basically like a custom event that extends what's known as the registry. So this is known as RTMR and its purpose. So all of this RARPC calls themselves are basically protected by the RATLS already. So the communication between the application and the guest agent is actually attested as well. So if you have an endpoint and an application that's hosted on a domain, but you want to verify, say, like the front end. That's a really useful thing because a lot of people, they can hack the front end. And you have an agent that might be a decentralized agent because we're moving into this strange era of like democratization of agents. So you have near-shot agents, you have Gaia, decentralized agents, you have Nanda, democratized agents, you have obviously like the workflows of Sint, you have X, Y, and Z things. So all of these servers that are running basically untrusted code, you want to be able to verify that not only is the front end, but also the application that's running and hosted on that domain is attested by the same attestation package that you want to be able to receive. So I can almost imagine the use case looking like a color pattern. I've been demonstrating this for quite some time now, but it's basically the idea that, hey, like if I get the entire attestation back and it turns green, well, then that means that the KMS, right, has actually attested to the hardware root of trust, which also can verify, hey, it turns blue and green. So it's not just green, but it's also blue and green, which attests to the fact that, hey, the attested endpoint and the KMS are actually tied and linked to the same package. So I can verify, for example, the SIG store, which is very popular when it comes to signing certificates online for domains and extensions and so on. So it's like whatever app I'm running, literally, I don't trust the front end, so I want to also verify that the actual domain is hosting the correct front end. So you can verify the actual console itself, so no one can actually front run and hack your actual front end. And then you can also get like a purple letter that says, yeah, but like this is 100% Olama, not DeepSeek, because you can prove the operating system level as well. So this is what I mean by remote attestation. So you literally can prove this is 100% Olama that comes back with a verifiable front end. You can see the git commit hash in this attestation quote, and then you can verify that it was a decentralized root of trust. So the hardware host can actually see the data. So who's hosting that? Fala. But like, Fala right now is the lead of DStack. Anyone can run DStack. Like if you're an infrastructure provider, this is like a huge call out, but like everyone in the world can run DStack. It's open source. So if you want to like basically go through the same thing that Fala did, which is very difficult, but it's sort of the Kubernetes moment that Google had for Kubernetes, and then the entire world attested to like the strength of Kubernetes and like pods and all this stuff for launching like large scalable applications. The same is going to be true for confidential virtual machine loads as
That's
well.
super cool. That's super cool,
let's
Dylan.
let's talk about a little bit where this comes from, because that's what I'm thinking about is like the why. It's like, the new word is vibe coding, and we're calling it that, but it really is, if you're a traditional software developer, these are sprints, very quick sprints. There are co-creation opportunities. We are iterating through hackathons, through build-a-thons, through meetups, through workshops, through all the, these ideas come from personal experiences and pitfalls of things that we personally have encountered in the development process while we're trying to, maybe build something a little bit new outside of the normal system, something that doesn't exist yet, right? There's always these barriers of things that you have to remove when you're building things that don't exist yet, whether it's interoperability, accessibility, confidentiality. All of these different functions are things from personal experiences of Ilya and personal experience of Dylan, of myself, of things where we tried to build and we hit a wall at some point, and these are our little tricks of the trade that we've picked up along the way that are really defining the processes as we develop these things, and it's to solve a problem that we've personally encountered. Why do we want these things? Well, if you can iterate as fast as you can imagine, and you can deploy and scale faster than your competitor, well, then you have the real advantage. And so that's why these developers are the ones that are on the stage today, the ones that we've got our eyes on, as far as is why these builders, why these products. Deeper than the product is the development underneath. And that's what we'd
Awesome,
like to
guys.
everybody to get involved with. Go ahead.
Matthew, you a little bit sometimes losing connection with you. So maybe if you can find a little bit of connection, will be great. But right now, you can like started losing you again at the end. But I have a question to you, by the way, that's coming from the community. What and why how you would explain what is the universal UX.
I think that would be
Uh,
the easiest thing to explain
compare
today.
to the bridge, or like the regular bridge that you see, or cross chain possibilities that people got used to. Would be great if you can explain in
Sure. So
simple
so
words.
Zeta Chain uses native assets. They don't use wrap tokens or bridges to avoid vulnerabilities that are happening in other cross-chain solutions. So this is definitely not the only cross-chain solution. The other cross-chain solutions are called multi-chain, and Zeta chains are called universal. And it's universal because we're connecting many more chains than before. This is a next generation of multi-chain. We call it universal applications. And so the difference is that you can do anything to anything. We're building out active integrations with Solana and Ton and Sui, which are all new experiences to be interoperable um, as a complete program, as a complete platform. And so Zeta Chain, how is it different? It's different because we're using the layer one blockchain Zeta Chain. They have a native gas token. It's called the ZRC20 token. So if you're a Solidity developer, you're coming from the Ethereum ecosystem, that is a directly comparable asset to an ERC20 token on Ethereum. And so we can use ERC20 as our gas token. We use our blockchain Zeta Chain, and we have different interoperability solutions. So it's not the only interoperable solution. It is comparable to something that you may have seen in the past with competitors like Wormhole or Layer Zero, or maybe even Chainlink at this point. Cross-chain transactions are what's happening in Web3 and crypto right now. And this is a different solution. It's a different team. The startup is launched in a different way. They've made it all the way to a Series A. They're launched out of San Francisco. Run very much as an agile startup with a lot of experience. And so, as far as what I've seen in Web3 and experience wise, they're growing at a much more accelerated rate than blockchains previously, and that is a really strong signal in a really strong market. So it's definitely a great place to be building. I think there's a lot of opportunity at Zeta Chain to start building out those custom
Definitely.
solutions, those new solutions on this chain. Chains do get a lot, everybody at some point gets a narrative, and it's hard to break away from those things. And I think that is something that's being defined at Zeta Chain right now, which is a really strong signal. I mean, you don't want to build in an overcrowded ecosystem. Like if you tried to do NFTs on Solana right now, you'd be a drop in the ocean, And I think that that's really where you want to be in Web3, is building on what's new, on the latest, greatest, most advanced solutions. I would say this is, the new next generation modern blockchain.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just gonna leak a little bit of information, like give some insights of what we are building
We
with
have
Sint and
right. We have
Zeta.
new grants programs. We have new bounty programs for building out active integrations with Solana. We have a super team bounty.
Yeah,
We
Matthew. I
have
think. Do you think it will be okay if I'm gonna share a little bit with the community what exactly we're building right now? I think it's gonna be pretty exciting for the listeners, right? So the latest stuff. I'm just like, it's simple agent, that we put in together and kind of like utilizing universal possibilities from Zeta chain. We're building an agents that everyone is in crypto, right? Paying the employees in crypto, and some of the employees have ETH wallets, some of them have Solana wallets, some of them BNB wallets. So it's like a multiple payments that you want to do in one payroll, let's say, right? Or multiple vendors, and not all the vendors can accept, let's say, or don't want to accept USDT ERC20. They won't accept USDT on BEP20, like BNB, for example. So we launching an agent where you can just create an invoice, and that invoice will be paid to multiple vendors on a multiple chain, utilizing universal possibilities from Zeta, and then post it in one receipt. It's one agentic flow, one UX, and there is no breach juggling anything. So we just get
It
it in
takes
like in a
about
seamless.
10 seconds. So we got the developer experience is much improved than blockchains previously. And coming from, Solana and Polygon before that, I've experienced all of the hardships, a lot of the hardships of that developers face when you're building without documentation or resources or trying to discover what's possible with your technology. And I think Zeta Chain has really got it down to a new CLI that is really quick to install and even faster to use. So you can, deploy a universal application or a universal smart contract on Zeta Chain in about 5 minutes. And we're actually showing people how to do that tonight at Brookland in Brooklyn. We're vibe coding after dark at
Yep, yep.
Brookland. And so devices are provided as partnerships with Bolt.new. They're providing vibe coding resources so that we have pro versions of their tools, among others. It's with Venture Miner, who is the local New York City, well, I think they're global actually. It's a global boot camp, coding academy. They do an awesome job. And so they're helping facilitate some of these workshops tonight. We've got Bit Basil in the house. It's going to be a packed house at Brookland. So if you're in New York City, go down to Brookland. Go to Brookland. We got swags and
and
grants and
and
bounties
I'll
and
be there as well.
vibes.
So since coming to wipe code with you guys, so like definitely let's do it. So guys, I'm
All
gonna
the
go
coders are going to be there.
to the questions from the audience. Quick Q&A. Let's try to cut it short. We have to wrap up the MA soon, even though I want to make it recurring. I want to make it
We'll drop the
mail.
link in the comments for them
Yeah,
tonight.
maybe a weekly one or bi-weekly one, because we can go into so many cool questions together. I love that group, and next MAs we want to bring another devs from different projects, touching the points of Web3 problems, and then security issues, and actually solving the real world problems, real human problems that they have to deal with using the innovative tech. So the first question to Dylan, and I would just recommend to answer pretty short and fast because we have plenty of questions. So, what's the difference from what you were saying on the Synth Scala collaboration and confidential AI compared to Grok or ChatGPT private mode?
So well, the difference is that like with Sint and these workflows, they're your own usually. So you get to set up your own workflows. Like programmatically, you get to host your own AI rather than having to trust the super general intelligence of Grok or GPT. When it comes to like paying for privacy, you get the privacy out of the box with like a democratized stack that allows you to have an AI inference model hosted on your own TEE CVM. And then, you can basically locally host a DeepSeek or a Quen or a GPT for like 6 cents an hour on Fala versus, which is basically like the equivalent of $15 a month versus $40 or $20 plus for the same thing with GPT. And also like with GPT, the difference is that if you're on OpenAI's like platform, you're gonna basically have you don't have any verifiability of what they're actually doing with your data. And if you really think that they're keeping the chat private, well, they're training on your data. They've even admitted this, like in open, where they said that we don't actually recommend you sending any legal compliant data or anything when it comes to legal court cases or your own personal court cases, because we cannot confirm or deny that we won't actually use
The
the data and
information
hold you in a
can be
contempt.
used
Yeah.
against you in the court.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
Sam Altman actually already said this. So that's even with private mode on, okay? So like and so yeah, no, like how do you think they're able to train the smartest AIs in the world? It's because they use your data. So
Right, right.
it's not private. The difference again is between privacy and confidentiality. So yeah, like privacy is not actually private when it comes to cryptographic sort of rhyme reason. Privacy is like, yeah, it's committed and revealed, but then in the witness log, you can still see the plain text data. Okay, so that's the thing. With Fala and like confidential compute, the plain text data is basically hidden behind firewalls, and basically it happens and gets processed within a confidential black box container, running on the processing unit ran by an Intel TDX machine, and you get the verifiable attestation back that says this is 100% the GPT that you're looking for. These are the droids you're looking for. You don't have to trust us. You can verify it, and so that's the major difference.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the next question because we have a couple of interesting ones I want to ask. So let's go to the next one. Is um, how do I add my own skill MCP to Sint? Good point. We're gonna open Docker. We're gonna open. We have an open GitHub. First of all, you can always participate. Send us requests if you want to participate as a dev. In the future, the ability to activate skill is super easy. You just open Sint. You go to the marketplace. You activate skill, and now your agent can do some additional functionality. If you're talking as a dev who build an MCP, the whole idea we build in the open, it's called Sint Bridge. It's open bridge where if you have an MCP, you can connect to Sint and we can connect to you through the Sint as well. Another question: do I need to be in crypto to use Sint? No, it's Web2, Web3, so we can have just Google account or X account just to log in. Next question: where are the audits stored and who can see them? Audit logs stored and who can see them? I guess it's question to Dylan.
The audit logs are basically the logs of the like what the quote is. So the stored logs are in your profile, so you get to see them, because you have a decryption key on your account using Fala. But in DStack in general, they come back to you as logs. So they're stored in what's known as DStack. So DStack is the open TEE framework that fetches the logs and it returns it to you. So these logs only prove that the boot up had occurred, such as the KMS, the VMM, the CVM, and so on and so forth. So these logs come back to you as a report. The report then gets attached to the attestation, and so you get both the attestations and quotes along with the audit logs.
I got my favorite one, and Dylan, I told you I've been building decentralized storage already in the past, right? So we had like a whole Web3 IPFS based decentralized storage solution that I was building before. So I'm quite familiar with security in Web3. But that's my favorite question. I asked a million times, and the user is asking you right now: what if a court of government asks for data?
Well, there's nothing I can do for you. Sorry. But like literally, I think because like if the data itself was processed within a TEE, then you can prove to the court that the data was actually ran where the data was once processed on using defense in depth technology, and so they're going to know what this means because if you had to have been HIPAA compliant, then like government can't go, or do you have the data that we're looking for? It's like, well, we're also HIPAA compliant. So no, we don't store medical data. So that's proven by the TEE, which attests to the fact that the data doesn't actually get stored on the TEE. The TEE is not meant for storage. It's meant for processing. So the data is just co-processed by a TEE unit, and then it might be issuing or fetching requests, but it's doing this in a confidential way. So you can't give data that you don't have, and you can't give data that you can't see.
I guess everyone is going to the question. Yeah, it is. It is everything you're saying. It makes sense. I guess everyone is going to the hot topic in that direction. That what if you know, and I know how I answer in this question because I've been asked many times because we push and Sint as the confidential AI. But the question is, what if the terrorist or some bad actor or a hacker want to use LLM to do bad stuff? Are you guys not trying to kind of like make them private to do their own shady things?
Well, no,
Or
like
how?
I mean, like there are assurances in terms of conditions like that Fala as a cloud provider has for itself because it's an American-based company, and we can't like host VPNs. So there are rules in terms of what you launch. Just because like you can like there's a difference between the law and confidentiality. Like you can't do something against the law right? And try to be confidential at the same time, then go to like Dubai. Okay, so that's something that is ill advised, right? No one should be able to launch crimes against humanity, for example. And so I think anything regarding like Fala is synonymous with crimes against humanity is like totally, um, well, it just doesn't make any sense because A, we have terms and conditions that also prove that if we find that there are services that are listed on our CVMs, we have the right to actually push the image, meaning we no longer have to actually host it. You're using our services. You can, of course, use your own DStack. It's you're more than welcome to. That's what I've been saying. So it's an open sourced TEE framework that anyone in the world can host. So if you wanted to launch your own crazy platform using DStack and you wanted to have remote attestations and running confidential compute, if you can get your own hands on your own hardware like a TDX, go right ahead. Like I believe in freedom. You know, I'm an American. I think everyone has the right to basically do as they see fit. But you know, this is known as unconditional privacy or unconditional sort of like wavering means of permissionless architecture. And so I think a lot of people in Ethereum and crypto really vibe with this. But then a lot of people are also scared of what are the ramifications of AI and also, you know, people who do bad things in the world. Well, there is like you can't innovate if you're consistently stopped, you know, and to really push the needle forward. And so I think that's really kind of what happened recently with AI. That might not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's kind of how the world works. Like the whole world basically is racing towards AI. What we're saying is that you need to be able to race and then also ensure that there's secure parameters around that AI, and then we have terms and conditions where we can actually list private applications and confidential processing units for your AI. But then there are some rules and conditions that follow the law, of course. You can't break the law. So, yeah, just that needs to be really clear because just because something is confidential does not mean it's illegal. It was the same thing that people thought when it came to zero knowledge proofs. Oh, like if you're using Tornado Cash, then you must be money laundering. It's like, no, that's not true. Yeah, it's
Yes.
like I can use Tornado Cash to send money privately, but it doesn't mean that I'm trying to send you money privately for a bad reason. No, maybe it's because I'm trying to pay you. And I need to make sure that it's confidential, but then it's on chain using Ethereum. So, or public goods where I need to be able to basically not admit to how much money I have because I'm trying to keep my corporate compliance standards up so that my competitors don't see how much is in my bank account. Things like this. Like there are billions of use cases in the world
Hundred
of
percent, hundred
defense and
percent. Yeah,
depth.
I actually, I build my own solution because we build in a layer which identifying what activities you do at some point, and then it's actually have to stop you of doing something that's going to be illegal, similar to what you can see in GPT. But we have to have our own layer identifying those because if we want to run it in private confidential TEs, then we need to take a warning, or some sort of layer of attestation for the system showcasing that the user trying to build a bomb right now with his synth, and we don't want to do that. So that's kind of like what I what I'm putting together in the synth engine right now. A question to Zeta, Matthew, if you can hear us, or can you speak?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so how does Zeta Chain plan to attract non-DeFi builders like AI, gaming, or social apps
To attract or to track?
to attract?
DeFi and gaming
Yeah,
builders.
yeah, non-DeFi builders like gaming, social, and AI.
And they're just lining these questions up for us. We're doing a series of building events and workshops, starting with vibe coding and tutorials for Zeta Chain, basically showing people how easy it is to get started building on Zeta Chain. Especially so if you're a Solidity developer or you've built on previous EVM-based chains in the past. It will be very familiar, and I think you'll enjoy the experience as far as the ease of use. We have some, fantastic protocol engineers that are really working on the user experience. We call it the developer experience. We actually have a whole team just for that. So
Right,
that's
right.
what
I guess
I'm out here focusing on. So how are we going to attract non-DeFi users? Well, I think that we're doing so right now through AI. I mean, I think there's a big intersection of really smart people who like the difference between SF and, New York. And SF, everybody's talking about AI and worry less so about the Web3. And in New York City, people are very much like Web3 and stable coins, and AI plays a lesser role here in New York City. So
Right.
it's a
The way I understand the question, yeah, AI. I mean, like, AI is definitely because I mean we're already talking about DeFi. We're talking about AI. The question was from a gaming community, the people who play games. Is Zeta Chain is something that could be
we
interesting
got some.
for them?
Stay tuned for that because I'm not gonna, really blow any whistle too soon. But we've got some really awesome stuff in the pipeline that I think you guys will be really happy to see these communities that you're very familiar with from DeFi and gaming and Web3 and NFTs. And I mean, we're having a lot of crossover. A lot of people are interested in interoperability with their project, and so I think you'll see some familiar faces in our ecosystem very soon. As far as
I'm gonna ask the last one for you as well. When I can expect the first killer Universal D app on Zeta?
well, who's talking? Step right, build it. We're waiting for you. So we've got some cool apps coming out, but we're really waiting to be blown away. But and I think there's great contenders in the pipeline right now, like people who are on this call. That's who's at bat right now. So I would say stay tuned for what's coming from Sint and from Fala. I mean, I know these guys are cooking every day. And so just, what's going to come from Zeta Chain is we're really trying to create the experience that the builders of the next killer apps want to be part of. So if you've got these ideas, come on over and cook.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, that's great. Couple of people from community I just added you as speakers. You can have ability to ask on RMA in real time. If you like, just raise your hand. If you're shy, it's fine. Yeah, May, if you want to ask a question, you're welcome. You can speak.
All right, all right. I'm not shy, though, so thanks. So, I got the notification from Saints because I saw the post the day before. So, what I just want to say is not like a question, but I'm just trying to, cause, okay, let me just say why I posted. So, I and a friend, we made an onboarding space, okay, because I it was also. So we started an onboarding space into Zeta last 2 weeks. The last speech we made, there were some few questions that was being asked, and we were not in the right position to answer them. So, and one of the questions, some were bringing complaints that Zeta Chain robbed them due to some test nets and the likes. So that was one of the questions they asked. So, and we didn't want to just bring false hopes. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, because we're just trying to like tell people of what Zeta Chain is building. Because I just found out about Zeta Chain 3 months back, and I've been making my research. So when these questions came up, so I was like, okay, they should calm down, and I'll try my best to reach out to the ecosystem you get.
Sure.
So
I recently joined Zeta Chain about 2.5 months ago. And from what I can see, it's a very strong, agile team. I think they operate a little bit differently, more like a startup, more like what you would expect to see from like a Silicon Valley startup. And so it's pipelines and management of vendors and resources. As far as any um, token trading campaigns or anything like that, I don't know much about that. But from what I can see, it's a strong a token that's run by a really strong team, myself included, and where I definitely don't think that you have to worry about it being a rug pull by any means. It's definitely a well-funded company, and there's definitely a lot of real things out here happening with Zeta Chain. So um, hopefully we can help you have a better experience moving forward.
Yeah, thank you for the question, guys. We have a couple of other. I think we have Todd and we have Sharmila. Do you guys want to ask something?
Yeah, I have a question. First of all, what's up, Dylan? It's good to
Yo,
see you.
it's good to see you too, man.
Yeah, Dylan and
So
I went to school together.
we did.
And yeah, I always run into Dylan though at crypto conferences and now online. So stay in crypto, you make friends for a long time. And I also was head of operations at Zeta Chain for a year and a half.
You were
So
there
it's
before
great.
Wow.
me. What up? What up, Tad?
What a
D-
Yeah, it's
need.
so funny.
DM
Yeah,
me
so I
after
just
this. Holla at your boy.
yeah, I was so I know Ankur, and he's absolutely right. Yeah, Zeta is very professional. They know how to get things done and do it properly. Great investors too. So I'm really excited to see all the great work you guys have been doing. But I wanted to ask, are you guys doing anything with RWAs, or like how do you approach kind of the bridge between like real world assets right now, or and stablecoin regulation?
So before I make any announcements for like things that are happening internally, I'm trying really, really hard to keep professional. So just keep your eyes on, I think there's a lot of talk about what the potential is. And I think that, we're in a much better position to execute on those kinds of deliverables than say, lesser blockchains or maybe some blockchains that have already pick their narrative. And so I think there's a lot of exploration happening right now. And I think the attraction of not, it starts with vibe coding and onboarding for community to get the word out about that we're out here building. But you know, the attraction of higher caliber talent, or maybe even institutional projects, or projects that have already, been fleshed out on several blockchains, or those. I mean, those are ripe partnerships for Zeta Chain as far as business development and integrating with Zeta Chain. I think all of definitely they grow much more quickly through partnerships, acquisitions, mergers, integrations than building from grassroots or the ground up, right? So I would say um, there's definitely something big is coming, and while we're building community apps and portfolio apps, and I think you'll see some pretty robust use cases come of the new interoperability that's available.
Todd, if you don't mind, I'll add from Sin side. We just partnered with a project called Nubula. It's New York based, Asian New York based startup. So pretty much, I mean, it's RWA, but it's more like it's not from the SaaS perspective. So pretty much what we do there, and this type of partnership I'm going to, is the bridging with robotics and IoT. So the whole idea that we build an agent that can consume real world data, such as like weather data, like any sensor, supply chain, or any IoT data, like credit rankings, you name it. And then we pretty much automate, through that agent, optimization, yield optimization, or you can issue an insurance and loan contracts on that data, or you can make like a power management, power risk models. So that's kind of like the cool direction in like real world data integration. But generally speaking, RWA is like real estate, tokenization, real estate, invoices, commodities. This is all could be used by inference layer that coming from the agents, where agent can handle onboarding, KYC, or any contract execution way faster than you do it manually. And same as I say, like yield monitoring or liquidation triggers, different things that are helping in RWA to improve UX and improve the flow. And that's kind of like where I want to take Synth on the RWA side.
Yeah, as for us, we just did a podcast actually talking about how TEEs are being used heavily for RWAs. If you check my Twitter, check Val's Twitter, we just reposted our latest podcast called Black Box Podcast. I had a full conversation with Spout Finance, my good buddy Paul Mirlo, who just actually broke down the entire utility and usage of RWAs with ERC 3643 and like how exactly TEEs are being used for that. And so yeah, like RWAs plus TEEs, perfect use case. If you don't already know, go check out that episode to understand how they used Inco. I believe they're still testnet, and so if you have a program and you're interested in basically launching your RWA co-processing for like AAR programs or for corporate bonds or for these like derivatives and whatever it is, yeah, like we're seeing some of these sort of TradeFi slash DeFi programs getting listed now on Fala. So it's pretty new though. But if you want a hint at least to where to go look up ERC3643 on Ethereum to go get more information. You'll get a lot of stuff there.
Awesome, Todd. Are you still here or you already left? Because would be great to hear. Oh, I see you here. Would be great to hear from you. Um, Pretty much what do you do? Quick intro, because we love to see like real professionals and special guests on the AMA. So please maybe introduce yourself, or what do you guys solve in our RWA space?
Oh yeah, totally. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing. So I work at Lorenzo Protocol. We're basically like an investment bank, right, for Bitcoin whales traditionally on Babylon. But then, we want like real stable yields. So we made like the first yield bearing stablecoin on USD1 infrastructure. So we're partnered with World Liberty Financial, and yeah, we're basically uh, doing a 3 yields for any stablecoin depositor, and we mint them a USD1 plus token, which can be staked as well. So you get rewards from a quant trading desk that trades, crypto markets, and then you have treasury bills, and that's the real world asset side of thing. So there's that stable yield that's always coming from those desks, and it's tokenized. And there's a lot of interesting companies that are like intermediaries um, for these different T-bill funds. Like BlackRock has one, Securitize they work with, etc. So these like bridges are really open now because of the new regulation. But what we do also is we integrate downstream DeFi as well for our USD1 plus. So you can like, use it as collateral. You can like use it on Pendle. Like we're working on getting integrated with all of those downstream DeFi's. And then also like we're working with some exchanges too, so that we can offer like collateral for those exchanges themselves. So you can really start to like stack these yields and do it in a compliant way, like with real world assets included. We also have a deal we're coming out with Open Eden soon, and they're a T-bill backed stablecoin themselves. So you could have one of their stablecoins deposit into our platform, Mint USD1 Plus, etc. But it's great to hear all of these builders. Really nice to connect with you all. Hope we can stay in touch. Thanks.
Sure, Ted. Pleasure to meet you as well. So let's stay in touch. Let's follow back each other and maybe set up a separate AMA just specifically for WA topics and what you guys do, because I love to find the best use cases for the agents, so agents can optimize, not just the user experience, but also uh, fetch data faster and improve so many different things in the current tech and current products. Um, I guess that's it, guys. I mean, I think it was like almost hour and a half. Such amazing AMA. I think we did such a good deep dive. So as you can see, Zeta Chain, Fallen
Bye.
Network,
Thank you
Synth.
so much for coming. Thank you, Ilya. Thank you, Dylan. Just remember, we'll all be at Brookland tonight. Brooklan, Brookland in Brooklyn, New York City.
And I'm gonna install alpha for the community as well. So app.stint.gg. We haven't posted it much yet, but this is the first alpha. And then send me the feedback. What do you think? Now you can play around with voice agents. And we're gonna do a launch soon. Right now it's pretty much for the community, for the listeners. You can claim points. Points will be converted to the agent energy and the tokens later. And yeah, let me know what you guys think.
well done. Good job, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. Awesome.
See you guys soon. Speak soon.
Bye, guys. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao.